Hi everybody, I'm Justin Mason.
And I'm Jared Mason.
And we are the Mason Brothers authors, back with yet another video. And today, we're gonna talk to you about how we came up with some of the crazy, otherworldly, really out there locations that you will find in the first book of the I Will Protect You saga, Book 1, The Trinity of Heroes.
Yeah, and I think one of the first settings we should talk about probably is the Endless, which is the massive forest that really is the southern border
Of basically all of
the
our
world
lands.
that we've explored so far, so to speak.
As far as our world is explored, it starts at the Endless at the very bottom, and then it works its way north. And the Endless, like Jared said, is a massive forest. It's innavigable to anyone basically other than sorcerers who are able to use the basic light sorcery to find their way to the Everglen, which is at the heart of the Endless. So the Endless is home to a lot of mysterious creatures, a lot of dangers, and a lot of perils await our heroes or travelers or anything like that in the Endless. And I think the Endless is one of those. It's kind of a wild card because anything can happen, and anything will happen. It's a very
It's the setting of a great battle.
Definitely, definitely the setting.
One of the more heart-wrenching moments, I think, in the book too takes place there as well.
Yep.
So it's one of the more important parts of that first story.
And you know that the Endless will bring us right into the Everglen, which is the home of the sorcerers, where spiritual, magical energy is stronger in the Everglen. It's more pure, and the sorcerers are able to draw off of that. Sorcery comes easier there. You know, it doesn't come easier to talentless sorcerers, but it does. You know, it flows a little bit more freely. And the Everglen is a very beautiful, very pristine place that's right in the center of the Endless. There's a beautiful pond with, colorful
It's almost
fish.
like a Garden of Eden. So
Basically, that's kind of the inspiration for it. It was, like Jared said, a kind of a Garden of Eden.
It's where you live in complete harmony with the lands. You know, the animals and the trees and the butterflies and the flowers and everything is just perfect.
And everything you do in the Everglen has a reaction. You know, every bad thing you do, every time you cut a tree down, every time you start a fire, every time you take an animal, every time you do something, you notice a change. And that's probably one of my favorite parts about the Everglen. It's a very integral place in not just the first book, but in the rest of our series as well.
Yes.
The Everglen is the central location, especially for the sorcery storyline.
Yes.
Very important. Okay, so we've done the Endless, we've talked about the Everglen, but that's going to bring us right into the Pass, known throughout most of the first book as Broken Wing Pass.
Yeah, a very apt name.
Yes, in the past, during the Great War, Valfirinax was shot in the wing by a soldier of Hail who thought that the dragon was going to attack the city, when in fact the dragon was coming to help them. So Valfirinax landed in the pass and kind of took up refuge there and has kind of been slumbering there, eating passerbys and feeding
Causing
on
all kinds of general terror.
Stray animals. And so it's a very cool location, and the pass is the center of one of my favorite showdowns in the first book, when Galvin goes to meet Valfirinax, and it's so cool because he's walking through this big flat open area and the ground starts to rumble, and all of a sudden up from underneath them this huge dragon rises up out of the sand. I think that's such a great scene.
It's a great visual.
It is such an exciting scene because how big really is this dragon, and you hear about it in the book, and he's kind of mentioned here and there. There's little whispers of Valfirinax throughout the first half of the book, and when you finally meet him, it's just chaos, and I love it. I love that scene. I can't say it enough. Valfirinax he's awesome. He is awesome. So one more place that we created that was really out there, and it's kind of an idea I've had since I first wrote the initial concept for I Will Protect You. It's called the Black Swamp. Now, Jared, tell us about the Black Swamp. It's to the far north past the frozen mountains, which have never been navigated up until maybe now. So tell us about the Black Swamp. Give us the lowdown.
Well, the question is, of course, Justin says that it's never been navigated to, but then how can anything exist there and how can it be known about anyway?
Yeah, that's why if you look at the map,
so that might be worth reading.
Yeah,
the book.
Absolutely,
to find out how.
Absolutely. If you look at our map in the first book, you will see that anything to the north of the frozen mountains is undiscovered territory, uncharted territory. Wink. And so it's the Black Swamp is it's a special place because when our characters first arrive there, isn't that just that feeling of that surreal feeling that, oh my God, we made it. We're the first ones to ever set foot here. But are they really? That's the question.
Or are they going to be alive to tell about it?
Yeah, will they be alive to tell about it? They've almost died getting there. How are they ever going to make it back?
How are they going to get back?
So,
so we really, I think, the Black Swamp is.
Describe it to us. Tell us about the Black Swamp.
In a metaphorical sense, it's that undiscovered that you're looking for as an explorer or a soldier. And when you get there, is the grass really greener on the other side in a lot of ways? And that's kind of the cool little metaphor that we kind of play with there. But in any case, of course, it does spawn some of our evil creations.
Absolutely. But describe the Black Swamp to us. What does it look like really? Because it's a pretty awesome sight when
a huge, bubbling mass of a rolling swamp of. Just
almost looks like it's breathing when it heaves and bubbles and then it drops.
And it drops and it's just kind of like, it's almost like a life form itself. So in that case, the setting is almost a character in a lot of ways.
Yep. That was something we wanted to do in the book. We wanted to give our setting such vivid detail. We wanted you to almost think of the setting, the Black Swamp, as like being a character. Yep. That was really important to us, and we want our settings to feel very real, like you could actually go there. And I know there's a lot of marshes and there's a lot of sinkholes. Even in Wisconsin here, where Jared and I are from, and you can go to some of those places, and that's where we got some of that inspiration. Just being in some of those places and stepping on some of that moss, and when you think it's going to be solid, and vroom, you're down 6 feet before you know what happened. So, yeah, the Black Swamp is a very interesting place. Definitely.
Very interesting. Little read there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we discussed the Endless. We told them a little bit about the Everglen. Now, what about the sacred glade that Galvin travels to? In the
does
realm.
Does he travel to?
That does he? I don't think he travels himself, but in the realm of
voluntarily goes to. Perhaps?
Yeah, basically, in the realm of the surreal and the out there and the unbelievable. There's this mystic location, this sacred location that's
pretty much cut out of time. Time really doesn't flow there. And of course, the great sorcerer Mason Hex lives there. And
that's where he's banished himself to.
That's one of the great chapters in the book, because that's Galvin's real coming of age, so to speak.
Basically.
That's where Galvin really finds his powers and finds himself.
And he trains with the great master, and he's able to take that time and those years to study and practice, and doesn't feel like he's lost, all this time. So it's a very different, very magical, in a sense, place. So I guess a lot of people were asking where we got the ideas for some of these places, and I don't really know how to explain that one. That was just one of those, I really wanted to go off the wall with this, and I really wanted to be creative.
I think that's why the sorcerers in the book in general are so great, because when we talk about fantasy fiction, really, when we write our fantasy, we want to ground certain parts of it and make certain parts of it more real to everyday life and relatable in that way.
Absolutely.
But then there's got to be parts of it too where you really can
where you know
mix the fantasy with the
where you know it's a
reality.
fantasy series,
Yeah.
and you don't feel like you're reading about somebody working as a dishwasher at a restaurant for $8 an hour. You know what I mean? So you do wanna break them out of that a little bit, and I think that the sorcerers help us do that very well. Well, you know, today we were just talking about some of those out there crazy locations in our first book.
Don't worry, we'll have another video on the ones in the book too because they're just as great.
Oh, book 2 just lights up. I'm really excited for it. In fact, I can't wait. So, book 1 of the I Will Protect You saga, The Trinity of Heroes, is out right now, digitally and paperback on Amazon.com and also on CreateSpace. And look forward, in a couple months, we're going to be having the release of the second book of the series, A Grim Ultimatum. And that is going to be coming out either late 2014 or early 2015, I would say.
Yep.
And we want you to look forward to that. And
That's the timeline we're on right now.
we are shooting for that timeline. I am Justin Mason.
I'm Jared Mason.
Stay tuned because we're going to be back with more.